Today I have another interesting pure variant deck build from Josh at the Misplay. This is a deck I've been tweaking time and time again. It's never really hit that stride I'd like it to until now. I've found a way to really make use of its niche aspects of the archetype, and I'm excited to share with you guys the build that I've got here. So if you guys have not seen our deck builds and our live duels before, this is pure variant. So only Darklord monsters in the extra deck and only interesting tech cards in the main deck. There's no Ash Blossoms, no hand traps, nothing crazy going on in the extra deck. It's just Darklord monsters. So that pretty much sums it up. So I'll get into it. The extra deck is very simple. We run 3 copies of Condemned Darklord. Condemned Darklord is really good because it does allow us to search, but the main reason I use it, 2 things. It gives us the ability to tribute summon by banishing 2 from the graveyard, which is pretty good. The main reason I like Condemned Darklord is during the end phase, gain 500 life points for each fairy monster on the field. That comes up more often than I would like to admit. When you're playing Dark Lords, often it's a struggle to kind of balance out your life points. It's very easy to overextend with Dark Lords, pay way too many life points, and all of a sudden you've only got maybe 1500 left, and you can only activate 1 more effect. Condemned Dark Lord allows you to keep playing. It's not the best card, but it is definitely a card which I feel helps the archetype immensely because of that end phase effect. So Condemned Dark Lord is definitely a good card to run. It is only a pure variant, so we may as well. Next is the beloved First Darklord, the fusion for the archetype. First Darklord is immensely good. Our opponent cannot target fairy monsters we control with card effects. That's very good blanket protection. Every single card we run is a fairy, trying to keep it in theme. Has a once per turn quick effect to pay 1000 life points to special summon a Darklord from our graveyard in defense. So it allows us to kind of get the monsters that we need on the field. We kind of always want Darklord monsters that have a different name because they have a hard once per turn on all on their effects. If it is summoned with Darklord Morningstar, we can destroy all cards our opponent controls, so that could potentially be very powerful. But trying to use Morningstar to get this out can be a little bit more tricky because Morningstar can be quite a brick if we do draw into it. But the build I've got definitely utilizes the first Darklord as much as I possibly can. It being 4000, it having pretty decent blanket protection, and having the quick effect to special summon our Darklords at will, very powerful. So first Darklord is definitely the boss monster of the deck. So now we're going to get into the main deck. I run a playset of Condemned Witch. Condemned Witch does 2 things very well. People mainly use it for a couple. Actually, it's used in quite a bit. I know it's. I believe Tyler used it in Generator for a brief period of time. So when it's normal summoned, we can add a forbidden quick play spell from our deck to hand. So obviously, if you're playing more competitive, if you have the money, search Forbidden Droplet. That's going to be the card you search 10 out of 10 times. At the Misplay, doesn't pay too well, so we don't have playsets of Forbidden Droplet ready to go. So you can make use of Forbidden Chalice or Forbidden Lance if you're a little more niche. You can definitely make use of Forbidden Quick Play spells other than Forbidden Droplet. So Condemned Witch is definitely a good searcher on its normal summon. The other reason, like I mentioned, Tyler has used this in a build for Generator in the past. Because it can, in your opponent's turn, quick effect tribute it and special summon a fairy from the deck, which is going to be, in Generator, it's generally going to be Loptier. In this build, I will show you right now the card that I'm summoning 10 out of 10 times. It is Indulged Darklord. So Indulged Darklord is normal or special summon, so it will proc if we special summon it with Condemned Witch in our opponent's turn. Indulged Darklord will special summon a Darklord from our deck to our opponent's field, and we search a monster from deck to hand as well. The levels just have to be different from one another. So a very powerful card, and it does allow us to set up certain lines of combo plays and floodgates. So I'll go into more of Indulged Darklord's combos and plays that I like to do shortly. But it's definitely, I like opening up Condemned Witch to search a forbidden spell, and then quick effect, tribute it to summon the Indulged Darklord if I don't already have Indulged Darklord in hand. So that's a very interesting little start to a combo, and I'll explain more shortly. One copy of Darklord Morningstar. I only run one because it just bricks far too often. I dropped it down to 2 and it would just brick and it would brick and it would brick. I feel like the one time you need Morningstar is when you search it. So I kind of just want to keep it into the deck until then. Morningstar is very, very good. If you can get it out, you'll be special summoning as many Darklord monsters from your deck up to the amount of effect monsters your opponent controls. So a very powerful effect. It allows you to just pitch cards mill cards from the top of your deck up to the number of Darklord monsters you control, and then gave 500 for each. Also, kind of like Condemned, not Condemned, which Condemned Darklord, that life point gain is also very, very important. So this can come up, but it can't be special summoned. That's where this bricks. It kind of is out of theme with the rest of them, but it, arguably it has a duo of amazing effects, so I understand why you can't special summon that card. But that's why I run it a 1-off, because it does brick far too often. Next, I run a playset of Darklord Ixchel. Ixchel is one of the best cards in the deck in terms of the monsters. Discard itself and another Darklord card to draw 2. That is it. But the ability to load up your graveyard with the correct Darklord cards so you can continue to make plays or continue to interrupt your opponent, but get the draw 2 is extremely powerful. Now, the remainder of the Darklord cards in the main deck have the same effect, where once per turn, quick effect, pay 1,000 life points, target one Darklord spell or trap in your graveyard, shuffle it into the deck. This card's effect becomes that spell or trap effect. So a very, very unique effect, kind of similar to Weather Painters, where their monster effects take that of their counterpart spell or traps. Darklords are kind of the same, except they use them in the graveyard. So I'll go through some of the things we can do shortly, but Ixchel shares that effect, but we love seeing this in our hand 10 out of 10 times. There's never a time where you don't want to see Ixchel in the hand, so that's automatically going to be a 3-of. Next, I run 2 copies of Tezcatlipoca. This is protection from the hand, so pitch it to the hand, prevent destruction on the field. Has the same quick effect to pay 1,000 life points. 2 copies of Amdusk, same quick effect, pay 1,000 life points, use the effect of a spell or trap in grave, and then you can pitch it and something else to get something back from grave to hand, which is okay. And then 2 copies of Darklord Naston, which send to from hand to grave to special summon it. All of these first effects don't really come up. The main reason you run these is to give us targets for Indulged Darklord. Generally with Indulged Darklord, we'll give them any of these. This has the lowest attack. This is kind of in the middle. And this has the lowest amount of defense, so very easy to swing over. So yeah, you just run them because you definitely want Darklord cards. You can run things like Superbia. There's a couple of the old trains of the Darklords, which can definitely come into play. I just feel like they don't benefit this variation of the build. It also doesn't fit aesthetically on the side note. But this new wave just kind of works with each other. I don't need to run any of the old Darklord cards, that's for sure. So this works, and I'll start going into some plays when we start getting into the traps. So that's it for the monsters. No hand traps, just Darklord cards and Condemned Witch. 3 copies of Banishment of the Darklords. This is the free search of any Darklord card from deck to hand. Absolutely a 3-of. Now, what makes Darklord so good is, say for example, Naston. All of Darklord monsters share this effect for the most part. Pay 1,000 life points as a quick effect. Say target Banishment in the grave, shuffle it into the deck. This effect becomes this effect, which is just a search of any Darklord cards. So you can very quickly kind of see how powerful Darklords can be with that quick effect. So I love it. It's a weird form of consistency where you absolutely want to have your graveyard loaded up. Our play starter, which is Darklord Contact, it's just a monster reborn for any Darklord monster in the grave. Can't summon Morningstar, but it can do everything else. Contact is great because if we summon, say, a Naston or an Ixchel, this goes in grave, then we can activate the Ixchel, shuffle this back in to get another reborn. So off of one of these, we can get 2 monsters, which is very, very powerful. Darklord Contact is absolutely a 3 of. To help go into our the first Darklord, we run a playset of Super Poly. Super Poly is extremely powerful in this build that I've got here, and I will show you guys a bit after, but I absolutely adore Super Poly in this build. I'll show you exactly how I can get this out very, very shortly. One copy of Valhalla of the Fallen, Hall of the Fallen, because we don't have a single monster which can be normal summoned without tributing. Hall of the Fallen is just very, very good. You can definitely run this at more than one. I don't feel the deck struggles to summon. It's just more of a bonus when you've got Valhalla out. So very, very powerful effect. If you open up multiple of these, it's absolutely dead, so I don't like running more than one Valhalla. Run one Forbidden Chalice. This is the card I'm searching off of Condemned Witch. If you want to get rid of some of the excess cards, if you want to get rid of some of the lesser used Darklord monsters, definitely sub this out for maybe a playset of Forbidden Droplet. Forbidden Droplet's still insanely expensive. I haven't been able to get my hands on it, but I feel like Forbidden Chalice does the job well enough because I'm smart enough to use the cards in the graveyard effectively. So Forbidden Chalice is fine. You can definitely run a couple of them. It's completely up to you. One Monster Reborn, because Darklord Contact has a hard once per turn on that effect, and you can open multiple of them. Monster Reborn just an extra one of those to help ensure that I can make plays. Two copies of Twin Twisters. I hate dealing with back row. If you guys watch our deck builds and our live duels, Twin Twisters is insanely powerful in our pure variant format that Tyler and I play. Twin Twisters is just, yeah, I don't want to play through Psalms, I don't want to play through Floodgates, I don't want to play through There Can Be Only One. Those would shut down the deck completely. Now, I run two copies of Goes in Match. Now, I'll show you why I run Goes in Match, and I absolutely adore it in this deck. So when we, say, summon the Indulged Darklord, I'll pop it down here, Indulged Darklord. This would then special summon a Darklord to our opponent's field, and we would search one. This means we would give them a Dark Monster. During our opponent's turn, we would flip the Goes in Match. They are now locked into Dark Monsters. So the reason why Indulged Darklord is so good for two things, they can't, you know, what's that card? Cyframe Gear Gamma, because they control a monster. We've given them one, and we've locked them into Dark Monsters as well. I love these two cards together. They are insanely, insanely good. The other reason why Indulged Darklord works so well is Super Poly. So our first Darklord requires 3 Dark Fairy monsters. Where do I have it here? Here it is. 3 Dark Fairy monsters. So what we can absolutely do is use the Darklord monster we have given them to their field, and itself, and then obviously another one on the field, which is very easy to get out. So not only does Indulged Darklord allow us to Floodgate with Goes in Match, we can then use it in the end phase or whatever phase with Super Poly to go into the first Darklord, which we can then quick effect to special summon the one that we've just used from their field that we've given them. So I love these 4 cards together, and the reason I run Condemned Witch is to just ensure that I can get into Indulged Darklord, which will generally search the Eggshell because it's draw 2, very, very powerful. This batch of cards I absolutely love, so I run 2 Goes in Match to ensure that I can open a Goes in Match when I need it. I don't run 3 because 3 is just going to brick, but I definitely think 3 is a beautiful sight. Sorry, 2 of them is a beautiful sight, and 3 Super Polys because there's no way to search right now. I'm not running the Predaplant engine. I absolutely adore these batch of cards. So that's the kind of twist I love on this Darklord, because you can start utilizing effects in the grave, and I'll go into some of the powerful traps now, but we can also Floodgate our opponent and then take advantage of that as well with the Super Poly. 3 copies of the Sanctified Darklord. This, in my opinion, is the best trap in the deck. It is a monster effect negate, but will also gain life points equal to the attack of that monster. So in one of the live duels that Tyler and I have done, I've actually used it on one of the Darklord monsters I had given him 3 Indulged Darklord. to gain like 2400 attack or however much it was, 2800, because I really needed it. And that allowed me to keep making plays because I was only down to like 700 life points at the time. So there are so many applications for this. And then obviously it being a Darklord spell or trap, you can use it in the grave with one of your Darklord monster effects and you'll still gain life points. So very, very powerful trap card. 3 copies of enchantment. This is essentially Widow Anchor without the monster effect negate. Very, very powerful. Not only generally a negate may not be as good because it still can be used to be linked off or XCs summoned into. Whereas if you just take a monster to begin with, very, very powerful. I love enchantment. It's a very unique form of removal for a turn, and a lot of the time it stops your opponent's plays entirely. Then 2 copies of Darklord Rebellion. It's just destruction of a card on the field. Very, very powerful. It definitely runs at 3. Yeah, just very, very good. This Darklord deck does very well at interrupting our opponent. Whether it's hard activating the spell or trap cards, whether it's using the monster effects to use the effects in the grave, very, very powerful. So that is my take on a pure variant Darklord deck build. I've used this variant plenty of times at this point, and the amount of times I can successfully get that goes and match lock through Indulge Darklord and then Super Poly into the first Darklord is insanely satisfying and insanely consistent. So I'm happy with all the ratios. I'm happy with this deck build. I don't need to run the older Darklords, but if you guys do have any recommendations for what you would like to see in a build like this, keep in mind it is only pure. Let us know. You guys are pretty good with letting us know some tech cards or some thoughts on the deck builds in our live duels, and we love to hear it and read it, and we respond to all of them. So definitely keep engaging with us in the comments, and we'll keep doing the same back. I hope you guys liked this deck build, and yeah, keep an eye out for a live duel if it hasn't gone up already, and some future live duels as well. Peace. We hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you guys want to see any more live duels, deck builds, podcast episodes, tournament videos, or anything that you guys may want to see, let us know in the comments below. Please make sure to leave a like. Please subscribe. Tell us what you guys want to see. We love hearing from you guys.
100%. Every comment matters. We read every comment on the channel. On any video. Old, new, old, new, old, new. We read every comment.
Even if we don't respond to it, I give it a heart.
100%.
Everything.
100%. We read all of it, whether we respond or not. If you can tell your friends about us, if you know people that like Yu-Gi-Oh, please recommend it. This started out as a passion project, as a hobby, and we're just getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, so that's about it from us at the Misplay. So we hope to see you guys in the comments, and we'll see you guys in the next video.
Deuces.